The Stone Espresso is one of the most affordable heat exchanger espresso machines on the market. The question is, of course, cheap and good. And can the machine also stand up to the critical eye of my test colleague Micheline Delicato? Let's see, let's test it right now. Here we go, let's get started. We're now at the Stone Espresso machine and it no longer has the recognizable stone casing. I saw them back then with a stone facade. Really? Yeah? That's not stone though.
Yes, that's stone.
That's sure.
Yes, it is.
Metal.
That's just too rigid.
Stone metal.
Stone look.
So when I first saw them at the trade fair 2.5 years ago, I don't remember which wok it was, but they had those stone pages right.
Yes, then it probably doesn't cost €9.99.
And that's really crazy. The machine is really affordable, Michel. You can customize it however you want, with more or less stone. And actually, it should be said, is it a Rocket or a sub-brand of Rocket? It's one of the slimmest heat exchange machines and also a very affordable HX espresso machine. And we've already tested many heat exchange machines. We also made a very detailed 2-hour-long test film about, I believe, 14 HX espresso machines. And now let's see how this Stone Espresso compares to the other HX Espresso machines, checking its features and performance. We'll delve into its strengths to determine if it offers unique advantages. Definitely, it is very unique indeed. Yeah. So much is very unique. Yeah. What should we know about this Stone Espresso?
So, I think we really need to give away a bit more about the device that's here. This right here is from Felix, the well-known German barista champion who won the machine at the championship.
We also have to say we didn't buy the machine.
That's correct, we didn't buy them. But Felix actually won them in a contest.
Yeah, it's basically like buying. So we're definitely, as always, free. Like, we're always free to say what we want. Of course, we always do that. But yeah, actually, maybe we're even more influenced now. We simply can't possibly tear apart the machine he won right now.
Yes, we can. Of course we can do that. I believe...
But we don't have to because the machine is really interesting. It has quite a lot of good things to offer. And besides the side panel signed by him, what else can you tell us about the machine, Michel?
The machine, as Ben correctly mentioned, is one of the narrowest we've ever tested. Its dimensions are 20 centimeters in width, 41 centimeters in height, and 43.5 centimeters in depth. With the portafilter attached, it measures 55 centimeters. It weighs 20 kilos.
Neat, isn't it? You simply can't just...
Exactly, you need to be a bit gentler in your approach here.
So you probably take the whole thing off for transport. But otherwise, it's solidly attached. Except if you would want to transport them.
Exactly. Great. You don't have to move machines often. It wouldn't be a machine for us in the academy.
Nope. Back and forth and down again. Exactly.
That would be a bit... But I think there are also, without these...
You don't have to put that on it.
But then it looks really... Then you essentially have a classic 2-circuit system. You have a 1.7 liter 2-circuit boiler. It's installed vertically inside, it's not insulated at all, and it's completely made of copper, giving it a robust and durable construction. It says right here in big letters, you don't have access to hot water, you just have access to steam. And you don't have a classic thermosiphon system like the one in VMI 61 brew groups. Here it's an individual brewing unit with a heating element inside which effectively heats the brewing unit. The brew group is heated by active elements rather than circulating water for more precise temperature control. We'll get to that later, what the positive aspects are.
Excited for that, the chapter.
And then she has these two things that are a bit... One thing I look at very critically and one thing that's just... Yeah, I think like the lid for the water tank. That's just... But it's true, actually it's often like that. Actually, I need to put it into perspective a bit more because you see it's simply just a small metal plate that has been bent into this shape.
Yes, and once you realize you can take it out the way you just did, it's actually quite simple. Put it back in. Now that you've pressed the back, you can quite easily pull it out. If you start here without knowing, shoving your fingers in without caution may not go smoothly. Because you have... Others have a handle or a tab, sure, you just pressed it here exactly. Then it's easy. And in that sense, it's actually simple. It's designed that way. That's why the back is rounded. But I've seen people at the machine who were trying to wrench this out like this. And Yeah, when you press on the back, it comes out towards you, and then it's pretty easy. And then we have the classic, pretty typical rocket, right? Yeah.
A little bit, a bit smaller,
yeah,
a bit nicer.
Bit smaller. It goes forward, can be taken out, and then conveniently filled outside. You don't need to bother pouring it this way. It's less likely to spill inside, making it cleaner and easier. I need to go back in here again.
No, no, no. You just need a little bit of love. You need to really sense when the spot is just right, and then you carefully press it in, making sure it fits perfectly. So, and yes, it's kind of fiddly. It's just a small, narrow type of machine. Small water tank, but it's still well within the usual acceptable range. And now, I have a rather significant visual critique.
Yes, please.
If you are watching this, then I assume you will want to take a look at this. These are some really beautiful drip trays, stunningly beautiful. Really gorgeous drip trays.
How cool.
Really nice. The edge isn't quite as nice, but that's just how it is. And then this part comes next.
Yes, and
that's like with a DeLonghi Dedica.
It's like a pigeon water bowl for half a day, ensuring they stay hydrated through either the morning or afternoon.
Yes, you need to pull it out just a bit.
That's really, I mean, isn't that something like 3.5 decio or something like that, or what?
Yes.
450.
400 is still close. It's barely considered transportable. Taking it out already feels quite borderline tricky, so that
just won't get into my head, no.
That's not possible.
So it unloads into there.
Yes, the relief is back here.
Yeah, where else? You make 5 espressos, and then it's full. Yeah, automatically. I don't get it. I honestly just can't seem to wrap my mind around why there actually happens to be so very much empty space in here. There's an air gap of 4.5 centimeters. You could try pulling it forward or down, but there's absolutely nothing behind it to change the situation or fill the gap.
You might comfortably fit 2 of those pre-dosed 18-gram jars in there without any trouble.
For a laugh? Maybe. For a specialty case?
Yes, exactly.
Exactly. And then, come on, we're already at the outside. You said 2 circles and so on, but then we look at the outside. And then that's one of the less pleasant stories. Exactly. So why doesn't it fit properly in there now?
Yeah, it just keeps going up like that. I've been doing this all day.
It does not fit in a good way.
Are a bit tense, but I believe they saved a little bit here and there, which ultimately made it quite a bit nicer in the end. On the back, it has this stone inscription. Then it has the starter for... Is that bothering you now, huh?
Go ahead, I'll try to stay really quiet.
You have a dial here, which you turn. And then you just keep on turning it until you eventually finally get to feel the impulse at the back. That's actually the same lever that's traditionally known from the Famer brew groups. When you go ahead and move the lever back, it will sit much closer to the housing and thereby successfully activates the shot. And here you simply activate the shot by touching this. I'm not going to do too much now.
You can slide it in a bit. Now it's flush. So now there's only, let's say, 0.5 millimeter on the right side and a 1/10
Millimeter der linken Seite.
For all of you with a gap like this at home, check the previous part to see exactly what Benjamin does. And for everyone who doesn't know how to start, watch what I'm doing. And then you'll have this. I think it's actually kind of stylish. I don't find it to be an ugly machine at all. No.
It's a really nice machine. It's a beautiful development. There's quite a lot behind it. So I have the feeling they really put some thought into it. I mean, Rocket, in the range up to around 2,000 francs, it doesn't have different brewing groups, but it consistently works with Famer E61. And here they also added a heating element to this compact machine, developed their own brewing unit specifically for this purpose, which starts with its own distinctive move right here. And that's really cool. I think it's absolutely great. Above all, this is noticeable in the preparation time. So it becomes clear during the heating period, because we noticed a quick heat up.
Yes, absolutely. That's really cool. When you turn on the machine, you'll hear it around 9 minutes 30 seconds. Thanks to Thomas for those perfect numbers. It really helps us understand the process better and ensures the machine runs efficiently. That we always get from him, after 9 minutes 30, the heating goes off. In the brochure or on the website, it says after 10 minutes. You can theoretically start brewing after 10 minutes, yes. But you're actually more in the range of 91 plus or minus degrees. is somewhat borderline. Could you perhaps give it just 2 additional minutes to be sure it's ready? After 12 minutes, she's at the right temperature, making the experience truly delightful and incredibly enjoyable for everyone involved. You can turn it on, have coffee after 12 minutes, everything's great. You don't need to set a timer for 12 minutes. When you hear it stop heating, just wait another 2 minutes. You could still, let's say, weigh the coffee, grind it. Depending on the procedure with WDT tools, you'll need 2 minutes anyway until the shot is ready.
I think anything around 10 minutes feels kind of good and manageable. Anything from 20 minutes starts to feel long, while 30 minutes is close to a disaster, and 40 minutes is just heading straight for a complete catastrophe.
The absolute complete disaster, yes, exactly. And afterwards you have this stone manometer, which accurately displays the pressure of the steam boiler for you.
We have no water outlet, so we don't have any kind of hot water dispenser here. Honestly, it really doesn't matter much, in my opinion. If you absolutely want to have water, you can still get it through the group, as always. The important thing is to stay hydrated.
No espresso machine is a kettle, so even with one...
You heated it up. You can definitely also utilize it for various machines, but it's not really something we're going to discuss much in detail here. You can drain the water. By the way, this is actually not a screw for adjusting the pressure, but instead it is used for...
But you could actually empty the boiler when you transport it. In theory, this could be done via this specific screw. It's also detailed in the coffee machine's manual how exactly it works. There's no direct access to the pressure switch, so you can't adjust the temperature. The pressure switch is located on the side at the bottom, then attached to the boiler.
Again, about the feeling. How do you find it with this? It actually feels pretty good. What strikes me a bit as, well, I can't really say I'm a neat freak because everyone would definitely make fun of me for it, but I truly don't like it when it gets just a bit out of hand and starts to become chaotic. So it doesn't sit right. You know, when I make coffee, then it's there, then I pull back, and when I turn it all the way back, I slightly go just past the point.
Yeah.
Then I would constantly feel like I have to fix it again.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
You know, yeah.
It has to be flush.
It's like when you're playing a real-time strategy game and you don't have all fields neatly aligned. That annoys me. You understand? That's how it is. Regarding energy consumption, we can say it's a dual circuit system with a relatively large boiler. And it just has to heat up. And even for those 10 minutes. We look at 5 double shots for our reference. And with heating up, we're at 0.23 kWh, which is quite efficient considering energy use. We've seen much better stuff already. Even with the dual boilers, especially the smaller ones, you know, the ones with a smaller...
Only fruit mill-wise price aside, definitely. But it's 1.7 liters. So it's always about the total capacity and not everything is filled with water, otherwise there would be no space for steam. But still, it does require a decent amount of power and is actually on the lower end among the heat exchanger. That's definitely something we can say.
Michel, can we discuss one more story before we move on? We have a rocket portafilter right here once again, ready for examination. We have these drip drain holes here, and if I had to estimate, I'd say it's about 2/3 of the way. So where exactly is the puddle now? Can you see it?
Yeah, I know what you mean, but the portafilter, do I have to be a bit fair now? Absolutely, it's not exactly like that. Instead, it does start to drip. A little bit onto the grid as you use it.
Yes, I know that. But you should reattach the portafilter. It's another one of those portafilters with the spouts facing forward.
You think so?
That's what I mean, though.
I think the drip tray here is deep enough that I can place the cups nicely along with a weighing scale.
Yes,
I find that difficult.
The holes haven't been pulled forward, the water just stays on top anyway. And even now it dripped forward again.
Why is the plastic thing at the bottom so small?
Yes, exactly. We're back at the drip tray area. We only have threshers. Actually, I think, but if we're talking about the exterior now, otherwise the processing and so on. I only really have one gripe about the drip tray.
Yeah, I think, sure, it's not the thickest or weirdest piece of equipment I've ever seen.
That's 1,000 euros.
Exactly, you did that really well just now. You did that really beautifully.
Now this looks nice, right? That's nice. Everything pulled back.
Well, with a little bit of do-it-yourself. No, absolutely. I also think that even if it's plastic, it feels good. It's a double-walled steam wand with plastic tubes inside, but that's normal these days and nothing unusual. A proper and well-made portafilter.
So, does this machine really make good espresso? Yes. Should we try a cup right now? Yes, absolutely.
Someone in the comments can answer that. Why? There's likely a scientific explanation for it. The pitch keeps rising. Did no one notice that? When you stir, it's getting higher and higher. I can remember that. Otherwise, if I'm wrong, you can comment that I have no idea. Let's stick with coffee and talk more about it.
It took a while, but it's a good espresso.
Great espresso. Also really good espresso.
We're drinking dry spits again. You know it already.
That wasn't very enthusiastic about the nice tricorn hat.
Yes.
You were hoping for something more challenging today?
No, I was actually thinking we could drink the Caesar, but unfortunately it's not quite ready yet.
Yes, he still needs...
Let's do it next time.
A week, the Academy Caesar was too fresh.
So listen, this espresso is really good. It has a bit of a tingle that feels quite unique. So it's not coming out smoothly from the portafilter, but that's not a quality criterion. That just doesn't quite look very elegant. Because it has such a particularly wide spout. If this were a watering can, it wouldn't really be very fun to pour with it. But the espresso quality is definitely excellent, and we're also quite confident that we're consistently operating at just the right temperature. Because we had proper temperatures too.
Yes, absolutely. With our Kaffeemacher protocol, we started one after 12 minutes and also did one with 10. So the first brew really looks like this. Better not. Give it the extra 2 minutes, it's definitely worth it. And the coffee definitely deserves it. And then with the first 2-3 brews, we're completely in the range.
Step outside a bit.
She goes out a bit.
Exactly. And we're talking about Kaffeemacher protocol here. A 1-minute interval between servings. And this is really so important here. And I actually believe that it's exactly the right area for this. So when we look at this machine, we obviously don't want to take it to a festival. No, instead we want to make an espresso at home. We want to be ready after a quick heat up time, and without a doubt, the machine does that, and the temperature variance is also good. We had a standard deviation of just under 1.2. Oh, that's quite good. Very neat indeed. It's remarkable to see such consistency. It's quite similar to a Lilith Elizabeth or perhaps a Profitec Pro 300, which is essentially the range we're dealing with. Makes sense, right?
Yes.
When we increase the frequency, nothing fits anymore. So if we really go into the WBC protocol and then really delve deeply into the frequency, it simply doesn't seem to work quite as well as it ideally should. The machine just keeps rising endlessly.
And at the end, it brews at 100 degrees. But it's really important to note that those are 13, 14 shots. And the last ones have an interval of 10 seconds plus sometimes 35 seconds. That really bothers me.
Yes, exactly. It's not made for that.
Yeah.
No, and I don't think that should be the expectation. And that's also usually not your expectation. Because if you need that at home, it's the wrong machine. That's just a fact.
And for anything else related to making espresso, is this the right machine?
Absolutely.
The performance is good overall. Yes, I'd probably consider getting a different portafilter for better results. I don't think that's nice, but...
Yes, when the coffee flows a bit faster, it drips too.
I now prefer the Latte portafilter.
Yeah, but for example, I also like the Profitec. But for instance, the ECM, it's actually also pretty wide. And then it often shifts during brewing when at the end quite a lot of liquid comes out. So not this creamy liquid anymore, it's always liquid coming out. But not this viscosity. This extraction can then get tricky and might cause some unforeseen issues.
Michelle, imagine putting a nice portafilter in there that suits your style, maybe wood or whatever material you like, then adding lovely panels on the side to complete the look. Also maybe in the material or in... Then you went ahead and designed your very own machine, ensuring everything was unique and interesting price-wise. Yes, absolutely.
It's no problem to brew delicious espressos with this machine if you have a good grinder. Definitely.
Unlike, for example, with our Rocket TCA.
Exactly, but before we go back in, let's make some cappuccino instead. At the same time, it's easy, it's not an issue. She's generally, even before when foaming, she's no steam wonder. I'm really missing quite a bit of that pressure right now. The heating, however, is just fine.
Okay, we're now just under 1 bar.
Yes, but she is usually at the brewing temperature.
But it didn't take long now.
No, it's 40 seconds in our test. That's such a normal heat exchange level, just like we're almost used to.
Michael, I say.
No, it's not that full, come on. Brewing, frothing, no problem at all.
That's a great espresso machine.
Yes?
I'm enjoying the...
Yes, I agree, absolutely. The foaming performance is good. Heating, we always test it with water. You need about 40 seconds to heat water from room temperature to 60 degrees. We use that as an indicator. For all machines, so we have the same scenario everywhere. In. My current emotional state, it generates a pleasant warmth, making it quite comfortable enough so it doesn't feel too long, meaning that I actually don't ever need a chair for support. But I'm missing a bit of pressure, so I had to push a little bit harder. Until I really got there. We pulled the espresso right away and started immediately. Well, sure. But, you know, that's totally how it is normally, so it's absolutely doable, no problem at all. I would say it's a fast Lilith, so the Mara X takes a bit longer but has a bit more pressure behind it, whereas this one is quicker but comes with a bit less pressure. So, for a Swan, it was certainly more than enough for sure.
Any of you can work your way into this machine and create any kind of latte art you want, no question about it. You brought some materials.
Exactly. To put it in Thomas's words, I asked him about the tempo. He said, crappy.
Yes, we figured that out a while ago. It's actually for wrapping cables and keeping them organized. Jackenaufhänger.
Headphones have really come around with some great stories. Headphone hanging feature. That's not a temper. And there's also a classic single portafilter included.
I agree with that. It's worth pointing out that others don't include a second portafilter. I mean, La Marzocco doesn't provide you with 2 portafilters with a much more expensive machine, but instead they offer an attachment.
But now I need protection. There's a concept behind it. Saving money is also a concept.
And also 1 cleaning brush, which you typically get with such a machine. Dear Michel, the stone is somehow affiliated. It's a subsidiary, I believe, or maybe it's a spin-off of Rocket. In other words, Rocket's wealth of knowledge and technology are behind it. Now, Michel, I have a question for you. What's really better about the Appartamento? Well, Weigen in the Woods speaks for itself.
The typical Appartamento unit.
Has more oomph when frothing.
Has a bit more oomph when foaming, stays constant for longer.
We can definitely mention another point we've missed earlier. The temperature slightly increases towards the back. We clearly notice a slight increase in comparison.
There's the Appartamento.
Was it excellent?
Absolutely excellent.
It has its own unique design. Once again, that's a question to consider. Here he has jumped up again. Just now it worked when I pushed it in from the front. Yeah, I think
you'd probably have to bend it down a bit. and then it should be just fine.
Yes, he's back again, exactly. It's a unique design language, sure, and that's true for the Apartamento too. And if you say, I find the Apartamento much nicer, then the Apartamento is the right machine for you. But it does cost a bit more money, that's why I just wanted to mention that. I think for this package at this price range, it's already an amazingly good heat exchanger. Yes, exactly. So we had another dual boiler in the same price range back then, and I think it was the ACM.
Yes, although nowadays the Lilith Mara X, of course, in that inexpensive.
Now we can say Lilith Mara X or the other one, and then the discussion heats up.
Yeah, but I find the heat up time super sexy. Yeah, I think the Mara X has...
12 Minuten gegen 17.
Yeah, with the fast heat up. I agree. Good coffee machine. Delicious espresso. You can make good cappuccino with it. It's not a Faema brewing group, which means it heats up much faster. You still have a Faema shower below. That means, theoretically, you can put an IMS shower in if you want. That's not really necessary.
You have a Dedica drip tray.
You have a Dedica tray.
So it's somewhat of a compromise.
Yes, exactly. And you have an option.
Do we sell these?
We should definitely mention that.
Really? I didn't even ask. Should we auction them off?
We can auction them.
So they come with the original signature from the renowned German barista champion Felix Hollmann.
We can truly and confidently say that now. Felix, a renowned barista, doesn't own an espresso machine at home and doesn't want to have one now or in the future. That's really how it is. He lives right next to our coffee shop. That's why Felix doesn't want a machine. That's why Felix said he wants to sell this machine. And it's actually available for purchase with an autograph. You can undo it as well.
Alternatively, he has now applied it with chalk. If you really wanted it, he could also fix it permanently.
Yeah, and I think the easiest way is contactekaffeemacher.ch. If you're interested, just write us.
We're putting it in offer folder in. You'll also find other machines there that we occasionally want to give away after tests, and there you will easily find it. Then you can simply place your order from that page and specify whether you prefer it signed or with a special dedication.
Yes, and personal handover at our office.
That's possible too.
You absolutely need to come to Basel. That should be a given, I think. But I think Felix would personally hand it over to these people at the academy. I believe that's allowed.
Now the price is going up, yes.
The price goes up. We need to negotiate the price again.
We haven't mentioned that yet. With the stone, volume is also an issue.
Absolutely. We have a vibration pump. It creates some noise. They are usually mounted on feet, so they essentially float inside, making them almost barely noticeable to anyone around. It was semi-successful here. She's at 74 decibels. She's not yelling at you. I agree, it's a rather pleasant and soothing vibration, but it's not quiet. It's definitely not. To put this in context, grinders are often louder, though some quieter ones exist, but are less common. They are available on the market, but can be harder to find.
It's often a different kind of sound quality. I find it hard to compare. But now when you compare directly, it's more on the louder side, but not really on the very loud side either. Michelle, this is the Stone Espresso. It's a very interesting and remarkable espresso machine. I think it comes at a fair price. If you want to learn more about it, I'd highly suggest looking around online. Find additional reviews, always seek a second opinion. Otherwise, a warm invitation. Occasionally, she also appears in classes, so you can also see her there if someone else brings her. We have these home barista courses, and it's a nice opportunity to try out other coffee machines. For a great coffee machine, I recommend the home barista courses at our Dinslaken and Basel locations, where you'll get hands-on experience with various machines and improve your barista skills.
Thank you. Feel free to ask us anytime if you would like to try out a specific coffee machine. We have quite a bit in stock in Germany as well as in Switzerland, and often, if it's not exactly the same model, then at least the same pump, same boiler, similar construction, so that you can really test it. Because I think a decision for an espresso machine is always a process.
Yes.
And yes.
The process concludes here with the Stone. I always want to say rock it, no matter what. We say goodbye, take care of yourselves, enjoy some good coffee, and have a truly wonderful and amazing week ahead. See you very soon. Stone Espresso is truly the best espresso out there. Stone Espresso. And of course, with the exceptionally high demands. The question naturally is, does the quality match the price? And can the machine withstand the rigorous demands of my test colleague Michel Indelicato?
Why do you always have to say my last name?
Is the machine able to handle the high dem? And the question that naturally arises is whether it is both cheap and good, and can the machine also meet the very rigorous and specific requirements of my dear test colleague, Michelin Delicato? How do you say that? Pass, yes. The question is, of course, is the machine, let me start again, the rocket stone? No. Nah. Stone. Stone. The two, but can the machine withstand my test colleague Michel Indelicato's critical eye? This is where its limits will truly be tested. And can the machine, what can it withstand there? And
oh dear, the swan looks a bit ruffled and quite disheveled. And it has quite a surprisingly large head.
okay.
I've also adjusted well to the new surroundings.